What's going on, guys? How are you doing today? It's Angry Roleplayer, earning the money as usual, guys. Today I want to bring you the list of updated builds for Season 10 in Diablo 3. And I wanted to tell you that even though I don't play Diablo 3 because there's nothing to do for me in Seasons, it doesn't mean that I completely switched to Path of Exile or dropped Diablo 3 or don't plan to play Diablo 3. It's all wrong. I still keep all builds up to date. I'm a huge Diablo fan, huge Diablo fanboy, guys, and absolutely will keep updating and looking for Diablo 3. And I really like to keep on track, and my guides are all safe and sound, and I absolutely reply to all comments and Diablo fans on YouTube or whatever. And if I forgot something, please excuse me. I will reread all this and find all these comments and reply to them as well. But these are my updated and rewritten guides and builds for Season 10, and I need your support, guys. I need you to go and if you like the guides, you can upvote them and help me the best way you can. Basically, just like the builds, upvote them to get more promotion, so that I can update them early on and keep on track and invent new builds as well. I would like to show you the builds that I think are pretty much one of the most important ones for Season 10. First of all is of course the Roland's Lightning Sweeper build. It's one of my favorite builds, and now the build can push 90 plus. Unlike the previous seasons where it was very hard to get into the 85 and I really struggled to do. I did 86 but 87 was a fucking struggle. But on PTR I managed to clear the 90 pretty easily without much fishing. Really, there's it was no big problem. So right now I can safely say that 90 can be reached in Seasons. It's no big deal. So the build transition from 85 plus to 90 plus, and it's absolutely fair and square. So this is the updated build for Season 10, and although the build hasn't really changed, here you can see my 90 clear as well. But the build is extremely strong, a fucking ton of recovery here, and it's very tough. So it's one of the best, if not the best, Crusader builds for hardcore that I personally recommend. It's exceptionally strong, exceptionally tough, and exceptionally rewarding when you get this density. The progression really feels rewarding. So I recommend this build if you want to play in Season 10 from scratch or try Crusader. Another build is the Tal Rush's Mana Heal No Archon build. This was super popular build the last seasons, and I wanted to transition this build in Season 10 because it's still the best Archon non-Archon build out there. And the other variations with Hydra, unfortunately, they are not as good as this one. There is a Firebird Archon variation, a non-Archon variation of Hydra. I watched this and I really didn't like this. It's not as fluid, as devastating, and this one still falls behind this Arcane Torrent build for a couple of levels. And basically all Hydra builds are centered around killing elites, while this build you can kill everyone, elites and not elites and everything else. It doesn't matter. I don't recommend playing the Hydra builds because it's super fucking frustrating. Like, you do no damage, you can't control shit on screen, you can't do anything. You just need to get this fucking stupid Hydra and put it right in front of the fucking single elite to kill. This is retarded, and I immediately didn't like this shit when I saw it, and I'm not gonna support the Hydra builds until something changes. So this build is still exceptionally strong. I did, I think, 87 with this, or 88, I forgot how much I did this, but Kratic did 90 and he did around 92, I guess, on Season, or even higher. So this build is 90 plus, no big deal. Now, The classic Zunimasa build, Zunimasa's Gargs. It's 90 plus build, and for 90 you need around 1500 paragon with some augments like from 70 to 80 levels. This build, you know, I don't really like Zunimasa much, but this build is still viable, and I know even though you can control shit on screen, it's still pretty fun. It's a 100% pet build, one of the only pet builds in the game. So give it a shot if you wish. This is a very old build and it still works. The build itself hasn't really changed since the last year, because there is no changes to the gear. So basically that's the same old build. Now, since the Zunimasa is Hedrig's gift, it's much more viable than before, and I really recommend playing the Witch Doctor if you haven't played it before. So this is viable build. Now the classic physical Whirlwind also updated for season 10. Very straightforward but very hard to learn build in my opinion. Check it out if you wish. Another Whirlwind variation, but this is Istvan's Whirlwind build, guys. You can play it both physical and lightning, and this is much harder to gear build in my opinion, because these swords, the Istvans, they are exceptionally hard to gear, and in all my lifetime experience in Diablo 3 I only got one ancient strength sword for the barbarian. But the strength of this build is it basically does around 30% more damage than the classic Bull Cathas sword, and it took some time for people to realize this. No, this build was also known for quite a while, for over a year. It was invented by Sarah from the Battle.net forums, the Barbarian. But the build was kind of, you know, in the shadows, and it surfaced during the PTR, and then it became more popular, and then it's kind of fucking exploded and everyone started playing Istvans. It's harder to survive with this build, especially with the lightning version, but it's like, you know, glass cannon, which depends solely on the grift layout. And if you have a really dense good rate where you can crit a lot and get much hitting, then it does so much more damage than the physical version of the classic Bull Cathas Whirlwind. So this is an interesting variation that surfaced some time ago, and it's pretty interesting. So the lightning sweeper already explained. The lightning sweeper is here. This is the Marauder's grenades, and this is actually the build that I call easy and safe Marauder, because I know I played Wodigious version when I got into Demon Hunter again. I played Wodigious version, and it's very hard to play, guys. With focus and restraint, it's extremely hard to play, but this version has basically double the amount of toughness that Wodigious version have, and just about 7% less damage. And 7% less damage means it's just one Great Rift lower, but immediately you gain double toughness and survive much better. That's why I call this version like an easy and safe grenades, because it's more like newbie friendly or rookie oriented build, and I really like this setup. And I think I might be releasing the guide actually for this, because this is like a very easy, much easier version for all players who start playing Marauders. And Wodigious version, like I said, it's very hard to play. It's for very experienced players, and you need a lot of stutter stepping, cruising around monsters, which is pretty damn hard unless you are a very good player. So this version I just compile it for all, you know, starting Marauder players with grenades. Another build from the fucking ages ago is the classic Ryakor Immortal King's Charger. And this build, it did 100, a greater of 100, so it's absolutely safe to say that 95 plus can be done on season. No big deal, guys. This is a very old, like fucking ages ago old build, the classic charger, and I actually put the clear by the chainer here because there are no good guide out there for riot core charger. Unfortunately, there's no good guide, and I actually had to recreate this build because people gave up on charger. There's no good charger build, so this build will be viable in season 10 because as far as I can remember, people get Immortal Kings or a riot cores in season 10, and this build will be viable. Absolutely, it's old but it's still strong. Another build is Inna's EP Exploding Palm Monk. This build emerged like many months ago, and it's very old classic Inna's EP build, but it was popular back in the day when Inna had more than twice less damage, and even back then people managed to do like 94 plus with this build, but now we've seen the 100 on the clear and Asian leaderboards, and basically with a ton of fucking paragon, this build can clear much more. So this is exceptionally strong. And in previous patch 2.5 it was buffed even further, and now it does 125% damage for each mystic ally, and this is very interesting build, especially for lower tiers where you can speed farm. This is very fun. I recommend this build, guys, if you haven't played Innas or Monk in general. This build is so much fun. And the only problem with Inna's EP build is unfortunately the single target. When it comes to Rift Garden, this is where it gets fucking retarded because there is no single target damage, especially when the Rift Garden has no ads, doesn't summon anything, and basically this is where problems start. But otherwise it's a very interesting build, very strong. Another build is an Hallowed Essence Grenades Generator, and this build is super fun. I know this might be the best Demon Hunter build that I ever played since the classic Sentry build in season 2, I guess. I really love this build. This is very fluent, very straightforward, very powerful build, very strong, and also very tough because you have massive amount of recovery. We have the simplicity strength, and if you get life on hit somewhere, you get massive amount of recovery. This build is really rewarding, it's really good, it's very mobile, it's not stationary as Marauder's M6 build. I really like this build, and I really recommend playing this build for Demon Hunter if you want to play some Demon Hunter build this season. I don't really recommend Marauders because it's more stationary, harder to play, more fragile. This build is much better, guys, and it also cleared 100 plus in the Asia, so it's exceptionally good build, guys. This is it. I also recreated the Thorns of the Invoker, the very classic 6-piece Invoker for all people to play. This is a very old build that I kind of compiled and created like several seasons ago, but no, Invoker is still pretty strong. 90 plus has been done with this build, and I know man who did 95 on non-season. Even though it's pretty damn hard to push into the 90s with this build, but the build is extremely tough and extremely satisfying for hardcore because, you know, it has quite a lot of toughness here, and the damage output is pretty interesting. The last thing I cleared on PTR, I think it was 96, and then I started struggling in around 97. Overall, guys, I think this is it, and I have plenty of builds here on my page. There's also the reworked Firebits Eric here, but I wanted to concentrate more on the Zunimasa because Zunimasa is buffed by 2400%, and I think that most people will play Zuni this season. So this is it, guys. I will put links to the builds in the description, and please support me by upvoting the builds if you wish. And I would also like to thank all my crazy motherfucking assholes on Patreons. Thank you guys for your support, and thanks for everyone else who watched my stream a week ago when I was on vacation. Thank you guys very much for all your support. See you soon.